Welcome to Heartfelt Creations Live this Friday afternoon. And today's video is going to be a little bit of a process video. I often have people ask me, like, how do you come up with your ideas? And so I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. So let's go ahead and change the camera view, and I will share with you how my brain works sometimes. So, okay, let's switch here. Okay, so I was out shopping, doing some Christmas shopping, and I heard the music from the Nutcracker Suite. And it got me thinking of Sugarplum Fairies, and my nephew has two little girls that every year they try out for the Nutcracker Suite, and they love doing the little dances for us and stuff, and that they're very talented and fun. So I was thinking of making them a card that had that kind of vibe of the Sugarplum Fairies, and so I started thinking of the Mushroom Cottage collection that had the fairies, and then all the sweets and treats and different things from different collections. And so as soon as I got home, I started pulling out those pieces that would, create the card that I was going for. So let me grab my sets that I used. So of course, the first one that I went to was the Mushroom Fairies, and to bring my fairies. And then I also wanted to use the big cupcake. I thought that would make a nice kind of focal point for my sugar plums. And I thought about using some smaller ones, but I ended up deciding on this one. And these two are still available. This next one is not available anymore, but I also went to the candy canes that were from the season of Glee. So you might have this in your stash. It is no longer available. And then I also pulled in, and I don't have these out, but some of the other little pieces, they're not available. Oh, wait, yes, it is. Sorry, got confused. Now, the little pieces right here, they come from the set that has, it's like it's got a little wine or champagne glass, and then it's got some little baubles and chains, and that one is still available. So I use that as well to just add some magical pieces onto my card. So I pulled that set out as well, and it also has this little stamp right here, and that's from the Merry and Bright collection, the one that had the little reindeer pulling the sleigh. That the wine glass and the little baubles come from that collection. So I use this little star out of these little baubles that's in the same set with this and the wine glass. So from there, I also pulled in the Christmas poinsettia and holly, and I believe there are still some of these left, but I'm not sure if there's any dies, but there are still stamp and available. And as my background, I went for the fancy classic rectangle frame, and really any background die would work. I just pulled out one that is still available. I'm trying to use stuff that's still available, but at the same time, I sometimes add in some little pieces that may not be. All right. So from there, my mind went to, in order to make all these pieces say Christmas, I need to make it in red and green. So that's what I did. I pulled it out and I tried to create kind of this Sugarplum Fairy look using red and green. When it was all done, I went to bed last night thinking, okay, I liked it, but I didn't love it. So this morning I woke up and I'm like, okay, why do I not love this card? And I decided it was because red and green just doesn't say Sugar Plum Fairy to me. So I'm like, okay, I got to make this again and do it in different colors. I also wasn't in love with these images that are stamped in black. I didn't think my fairy looked like that cute little fairy from the Nutcracker Suite. And I didn't like the black ink. So for today's tutorial, we're going to change it up. So we're going to make basically a similar card, but we're going to change it up. So let me go ahead. I'm going to refresh my screen so I can see the chats. If you're there with me, do pop in there and say hello. I love seeing who's here with me. So I see Penny and Sylvia and Jan and Valerie and Lucille there on Facebook. And I think I have finally figured out how I can maybe see the comments on YouTube. So let me try that real quickly. Let's see if I can see them there. Okay, I don't see any chat there on YouTube, but I can see them now. I finally figured out how to do that. Okay, so I'm back on Facebook. I can see the chat on Facebook. Tina and Lisa, hello. I'm so glad you're all with me. Okay, so I told you kind of the process of how I got there. Now let me show you what I decided this morning, the new colors, so to speak. Oh, don't want to drop my pieces. Okay, so my new colors, I went with purples and pinks and blues. And that just was more of the Sugarplum Fairy look to me than the red and green. And I think that we're going to, in the end, I'm going to like this version way better. So I hope kind of sharing with you that thought process of how I get inspired. A thought pops into my head. I come in, I start pulling out just all different pieces from all different collections, and I just start running with it until I come to something I like. That's kind of my process. All right, so for this, I cut a more patterned paper. I picked the one with the Christmas baubles on it, and in my first one I did the plaid, but I chose, more of a busy paper to be my background. And I cut that to be 5 by 7. Then using the classic rectangle frame, this piece I cut it out 3 times. Once out of white, once out of silver, and once out of this pretty ice blue solid piece. And I'm not sure. These papers were in the big set. You'll just have to find papers that you enjoy. There's been so many paper sales. I know you have lots of papers. So if you decide to do this, just it's more that you pick a pattern and then a light colored solid piece. Then this piece I cut out 3 times again out of silver, out of white, and then out of a darker solid piece. So that's kind of the format I did for this card. It could be done in pinks, it can be done in reds. The colors you choose might be totally different. Okay, so that's what I used. I went ahead and you can see how I put it together here. I layered up the silver on top with the white underneath, and then put the pale blue piece in the middle. Then on this piece, I put the silver on the bottom with the white on the top. I thought the silver on the top just made it a little too busy and competed, so I switched that up. So I still get that sparkly look, but it's not as busy. All right, I'm going to go ahead, and I just layered. Nothing has popped up. It's all just glued down straight onto my back piece. And I'm going to glue this piece onto a 5 by 7 card. Well, a big hello, Lori. Hello to you. Ooh, I almost glued it on upside down. Let's make sure I'm getting this the right way. There we go. You wouldn't really notice it's upside down, I don't think, but my background paper, it does have a bow, and you probably wouldn't notice if it was upside down, but I would know. So there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the other items that I have stamped. So the first thing we need to do is work on our cupcake. And to color up my cupcake, this time I stamped him in a dark green. And like I said, I didn't like the black stamps before. I thought it just, I don't know, I didn't like that. So I still wanted to keep the wrapper on my cupcake green. So I stamped it in the English Ivy. And let me show you real quickly how I colored this up. Whoops, got the wrong green. Let me just show you my whole color palette while I'm at it. So the colors that I picked to kind of go with my papers, I'm using these 3 purples, these 2 greens, and then just a little bit of yellow. So to color up my cupcake, I only need to color the the wrapper on the bottom. Good morning, Minerva from Galveston. It's still morning. Well, it's just now lunchtime here. So I'm going to use one of my pointed daubers, and I'm just going to make circular motions around there, putting some color down. Getting up in there. You kind of see how I'm doing that? I'm not worried about getting all the way to the edges so much. And then I can use this point to kind of just put a little bit in there around that bow. I can also use the point to add just a little bit darker color over there in the corners where it would be darker. So nothing hard about that. Then just to add some dimension, I came back with one of my makeup brushes and my English Ivy. And I'm just going to make flicking whoops, is that the right side? I think this side is the one I want. I'm just going to make some flicking motions right there where the shadows are. And that gave a really nice dimensional look to my cupcake wrapper. So just anywhere where those little lines were, and that's it. I'll kind of hold that up. That's how I did that. And then I came back with the cactus flower. And again, for the cactus flower, I didn't want to accidentally get it over onto my green cupcake because this will be very visible. So I used a makeup brush and I colored my ribbon here, the cactus flower. So I did go ahead, whoops, and die cut that for us. So we're all ready to go because we're going to want to do this first because it needs to dry before we actually put it on our card. So we don't need to color this because we're going to cover that with something else. And before we cover it, I want to back it with a more sturdy piece of paper. So I have a piece of heavy cardstock here, and I'm going to glue this on. So Minerva, you were asking me, where do I get my eyeshadow brushes? I buy those from the dollar store, and I've had these for a long time. They're the ones that I use with my archival inks. I have other sizes and shapes. You know, I just get cheap ones because when they get kind of worn and not working very well, I just throw them away. Really, any makeup brush I think will kind of work. You can order them in bulk online too, like from Amazon. I try not to give Amazon more business than they already have, but when it comes to those kinds of consumables, you know, the triangle daubers are kind of precious to me because they're not cheap, you know, and they're well made and they're very useful to use the points. So I like to kind of take good care of those and make them last for me. But things like this, I just buy them really cheap and throw them right in the trash when they're not working for me. All right, so now that I have backed my cupcake and that gives it a little more sturdiness, we are going to add the frosting. So there's lots of different ways you can frost your cupcake, and I'm going to do mine with the Doc Martens bleed proof white, and it's really shoe polish, but I'm going to use that because that's what I have in my stash. There are other ways of doing this. Ooh, okay, I don't want to lose my pieces. There we go. So I'm just going to use this to protect my table. I'm going to get a healthy amount, and this is just like icing a cupcake. You know, you just get it on your little spatula, and we're going to cover this whole part. I kind of like to give it some swirls and, you know, put it on kind of thick, but I do want it to be dry and time for us to use it. Whoa, don't want to make a mess. There we go. Hopefully that'll do it now. And I'm pretty much covering up I don't want any of my green stamping to show up on the top. I want all that to be covered. Wow, I've had the same container of Doc Martens for probably like 5 years, maybe more, and it's finally getting low. Time to order some more. I like this stuff because it's very, very solid. You know, when you put it on something, you don't see anything through it. It's not opaque at all. It's very solid. So I'm just going to kind of mess it. Now, while this is still wet, we're going to add some glitter. I'm just going to do it right here. But this is the lilac color, or no, wisteria. The wisteria color. Oh, you can use the heat tool. You know, I never even thought of that, but that would make sense. Yes, you can use a heat tool. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of this wisteria glitter into my top. Okay. I'm also going to add some of our regular glitter because it's bigger pieces and I like that look in there. Because you can't have too much glitter on a Sugarplum Fairy card is the way I look at it. And then to add just a little bit more dimension, I'm also going to add just a few of the, let's see, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called ribbit, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, ribbit prills. Another thing about the Doc Martens is it dries pretty quickly on its own. So I'm not going to mess with the heat tool, but that's a good tip because. Okay, so now we're just going to set our cupcake aside and it can be drying while we finish up the rest of the pieces. All right. I am going to just wipe off my knife real quick because I don't want that to melt. So I would love it if in the chat there you would share with me if your process is kind of like mine, where, you know, just out and about in life, ideas hit you and you got to run home and go through your collections and see what you can do to bring your idea to life. I just once I get an idea in my head, I just have to keep at it until I figure it out. So, okay. I also stamped one of our little sitting fairies. Oh, Paula, this is your first time catching me live. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Do join in the chat there. And I stamped her in the deep purple. And then I colored her dress with the majestic violet. I put some cactus flower on her wings. And I cheated just a little bit because I colored her hair and her skin with Copic markers. So her hair is some Y13. Oh, I'm sorry, some E13 and some Y24. And then her skin, I believe, is E11, if I remember right. All right. So I did stamp some of these fun little pearl pieces. And I wish I could remember the exact name of that set. My scrap paper that I just had, I don't know what I did with it. Okay, but I came back with some sunflower Nouveau drops, and I added Nouveau drops to each of the little circles to give myself, to give those just that look of a strand of pearly decorative things. So I thought these added a really fun element to kind of add to that Christmassy party feel. So that's how I did that. And I let those dry for quite a while. All right, we'll set these pieces aside. I also, that little stamp there that had all the baubles, there's a little star, and I colored that with the sunflower ink. I think that's, yes, sunflower. I always mess that up. And let's see here. I'm just going to use this napkin because we're going to add a little bit of the 3D lacquer. And we're going to glitter our star as well. And what I'm doing here to my star, it's exactly what I did to my candy canes, which I'll show you in just a moment. And for this glitter, I'm using something called pixie dust because it's really, really fine. And we'll set that aside. And like I said, that is exactly what I did to my candy canes. So I started thinking in my original, for something that's sugar plum, I needed a lot more glitter. So I stamped my candy canes in the Majestic Violet. Then I painted them basically with the 3D lacquer. And then I glittered them with the super fine glitter. So after I wasn't happy with my original, I also decided I just needed more candy and more, just more of the sugar plum stuff. So I went to the Sweet Shop collection and I stamped out a couple more of the sweets and colored them up to match my other pieces so that I could add those on my card. And I think all of that together is going to really bring this together so that I love it. So I also made the poinsettias. I stamped those in the deep purple and I colored the centers with the deep purple. I went lightly around the whole thing with the cactus flower. I did the tips with the Majestic Violet, ran them through my mold, added some gilt trip to the centers, and then I used the chunky Wajana Chawala glitter, the crystal clear, on just the tips. So I think all these added things that I did is going to bring this card to a place where I just love it. So let's go ahead and start putting it all together. I didn't go through all the process of everything just because I know you guys have seen me do that so many times. So I thought we would focus more on putting it all together. So these are stamped in the English Ivy, and I just colored them up with the English Ivy and the Vivid Chartreuse. There we go. And I do have a couple more flowers. I don't know if they'll fit on my card, but we have it. And the very last thing I did, one of the eyelet circles, and I wanted my card to say, "Have a sweet Christmas," but I just couldn't find an easy way to make that happen. So I went through all my Christmas sentiments, and I found this one that says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." And that too is from a Christmas song. And I thought, okay, that for the little girls that I'm sending this to, I think that will be a good sentiment. So we're just going to go ahead and stamp that real quick. And I'm going to stamp this in the dark purple. And I'm going to go ahead and tape this down so that it doesn't move. My sticky mat is no longer sticky. Oh yes, the mini poinsettias on vellum. Speaking of vellum, I need to get me some more of that. Just going to tape that down. That positioned. Like I said, I'm going to use the deep purple. There we go. One of my favorite things to do with the Heartfelt Creation collections is, pull pieces from lots of different collections to create something new and different. And, just sometimes I just like to see how many collections I can use on one card. I challenge myself. So this one, I didn't even count them up yet, but it used quite a few. This may be my record. So there we go. Okay, so we've got all our pieces and we're ready to put them together on our card. And I can tell already just by looking at my pieces on the table that the addition, the colors, the more glitter, I can already tell that this is going to look more like what I had in my mind rather than the red and green. It just didn't say Sugarplum Fairy to me. So, okay, it's not completely dry, but it's getting awful close. I am going to use a solid piece of foam. I'm going to cut that down and put it on the back of my cupcake. And I'll show you the way I'm going to do that. Just cutting a chunk off. And I can see that it's going to fit. And I'm going to put my cupcake down first. Or I'm going to put it right here in the center. So I am going to put that down first. Go. And now these three little pieces I'm going to arrange right here. I usually put my foam on the back of the piece, but because that's still wet, I don't want to risk messing it up. So that's why I'm doing it this way. All right. Peel that off. All right. There we go. And this I can press down after that is dried completely. So I can tell already that I'm loving this way more. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of shape to our fairy using our foam mat. I'm just going to use a large tip and just make some circles there to make her wings, her face, and her body have some shape to it. And I'm going to turn her over and use a little bit smaller tip. And right here where her wings meet her hair and her body, I'm just going to press down and draw a line right there. And that's going to cause those wings to kind of pop up. So she doesn't need a lot of dimension, just a little bit, so she doesn't look so flat. And we'll add some of the same foam to her. Now I am going to add a little bit of glitter to her wings, but we'll do that after we get her all placed down. And we'll do that at the end. All right. Now I'm going to set her kind of at an angle so she's looking up at the top of that huge cupcake. All right. All right, so now let's think about where we want our other pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put the candy canes over here. And the way I did that, there's my glue. I put a little bit of glue right there on my candy cane, and then I crossed them. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that together. Now I'm going to turn them over, and I'm going to use the really thin strips, and I'm going to add foam to the back of them. Did everyone have a nice Thanksgiving? This is the first time I've been with you since we had Thanksgiving here in the U.S. I had a lovely time with my children and my grandchildren. was great to have them here at my house. I have one son that lives in Arkansas, so they drove down, and that was really nice to get to see them. And then my other son and his wife, they live down in Houston, so that's not quite as far. I get to see them a little more often, but it was great to have them here at the house, and my daughter and her fiance as well, and it was just a lovely day. So I hope everyone had a chance to just enjoy their families, eat some good food. All right, just peeling that off. And I don't know if I said this or not, but I stamped my candy canes in the Majestic Violet. And I wasn't sure how they would look not being red, but in the end, I was really glad that I went with the Majestic Violet. You know what? I totally forgot that this piece was going to overlap. I'm going to pull that foam off of there. There we go. Okay. I'll probably have to put just a little bit of glue under him. Okay. All right. So this is where I'm going to add in my other pieces. I think I'm going to set the little candy canes or the little bucket of uh, lollipops right here on the corner. And for that, I'll use this foam. Always have little piles of foam paper all over the place. Oh, wow. Sylvia says she found out she's going to have 2 more great-grandchildren coming in June. Wow, that's exciting. Babies just add so much to the family, don't they? All right. The noise and chaos and sweetness, it's just wonderful. Okay, so there we go. Some crackers, and I did those in the same way as the candy canes. I painted them with the crystal lacquer and added the glue, or added the fine glitter. Okay, now let's take a look. I kind of like these pearly things right here on our. I also have this little tray of what are those called? Um, you get them in Paris. Macarons, that's what they're called. I have a little tray of macarons, and we could sit them here by our fairy, or we could bring them over here by our candy canes. And I'm just unsure where to put the little. I kind of like them over here. I don't know. Does anybody have opinion on that? I'm not sure. Let's see. I think I'm going to put them right over here. Well, maybe not. It doesn't, the foam I put on just doesn't fit right there. So I think right here will work. Okay, right there looks good. Just adding some more of the sugar plums. And I kind of liked this other piece kind of peeking out from down around here. We shall try. Let's go ahead, and for this star, I'm going to cut off the little piece that makes it hang. Your grandbabies or the great grandbabies live far away from you, Sylvia. Yeah, it's hard when family lives far away. I used to walk to my grandparents' house every day when I walked home from school, so I got to see my grandparents every day when I was little. So. There we go. Add some glue, Add that. And I kind of liked it over here on the side where part of it was kind of hanging off. I'm just going to press it down into that shoe polish. Okay. Not sure where I want this little piece, if I want it. I may put it with the flowers. We'll see. Or we may not use it. We'll see. Okay, now I'm going to add some foam to the back of this one. So you're really seeing my process of how I move things around and just decide. I suppose we all kind of do it that way, don't we? And it's about time for me to heat up my glue gun so that we can add my sentiment right up there. All right, it's time to add the flowers. So do you have a number of how many different collections you've used on one card? Is that a thing that you do to try to just pull in pieces from lots of different places to make something that you've never seen before? Let's see. There we go. I did want to make you aware that if you didn't see it, Emma Lou posted a video yesterday that answered some questions that are asked here as they continue to wind things down. And that's a good one to catch if you're wondering, but she did confirm that they are definitely not closing at the end of December. I think their original plan was to kind of shoot for the end of the year, but not necessarily. You know, it's a very fluid decision making going on, you know, as things wind down. All right, as soon as that gets hot, we will add our poinsettias. And I am definitely liking this card way better in the purples and blues. It's hot. It's just not coming out yet. There it goes. I'm going to put one right here. I don't like a lone flower. I'm going to add, and you like it there? Somebody shot a heart up there. Hello, Lorna. Oh, thank you. This card kind of kept me up last night. Hello from Houston. Are you a member of the Houston scrapbooking? It's a Facebook page. It's a club, but they get together to papercraft together once a month. That might be something if you're in the Houston area that you might be interested in. I need something kind of over on this side, but I don't know. I'm just not liking that piece. I don't think I'm going to mess with it. It's too heavy over there. Nope. Not liking that piece. All right. We can try one of these other flowers. Well, yes, I will try to. I'll put it in the post, like in the comments down below the video, the name of that Facebook page. And if you're ever interested in getting together to papercraft with other ladies in the area, you know, we can. You can join that Facebook club. They get together once a month. It's really fun. So yeah, I don't know. What do you? Give me a thumbs up or a no on adding another flower. What do you think? I don't know. I think it makes it a little too busy. It covers up all the frame. I'm going to say no. Okay, we'll save these pieces for another project. I'm going to go ahead and turn my glue gun off. Great. All right, and then the very final step is to put some glitter on our fairy's wings. And this sugar plum card is ready to go to two very sweet little girls. There we go. Going to paint that on. Okay. And one more piece of glitter, and I think I'm going to use the chunky glitter for her. Yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah. Fairy is not complete without her glitter. Okay, Tina, it's perfect. I agree. She said it's perfect without the other pieces. I agree. I always like to have enough to have choices, so I make plenty. But yes, that's you got to know when to stop, right? Okay, I am very happy with this Sugar Plum Fairy card, and I think the girls are going to love it. And boy, did the color change make a big difference. And let me grab the other one just to compare. It's not that it's awful in the red and green. I just like it way better in the purples. I think that just says Sugar Plum Fairy way more than the red and green. So I like the addition of the other candies. And all right, so there's our project for today. And I shared with you kind of how my crazy mind works. Okay, let me go ahead and switch the camera back. All right. So I encourage you, if you're just as you're going through life, if you get a crazy idea, go home, go through your collections, pull stuff out, and give it a go. See how it all comes together, and that's just so fun. It's just a great way to use our collections and have a good time paper crafting. So, all right, I don't have anything else for you today, but I did want to give you a quick update for those of you that follow me on Carrie Lee Creations. You may have noticed that I've kind of been MIA for the last month. And that is because I found that making 4 videos a week was just too much for me. And I felt like the quality of my work was suffering. So as long as Heartfelt Creation is continuing to be open, I will be bringing you all of my Heartfelt Creation projects here at heartfeltcreation.com. When they do announce that whenever their end is going to be, when that sad moment comes, that's when I will start back up bringing you my Heartfelt Creation projects on Carrie Lee Creations on Fridays at the same time, just on my channel instead of on Heartfelt's channel. But I think that that will be better than trying to do too much at the same time. So, okay, and that's all I have for you. And have a wonderful day. Thanks for crafting with me. Bye-bye.